How are you, brother?
Hey man, how's it going? It's Wednesday and it's good to be with you. How you doing?
It is podcast day. Oh, I had a great song. Let me
I
see if
can
we
hear
can
it.
hear
I can
it.
hear it.
Can you hear it? All right.
Yes.
This is going to go really well with our show tonight. Uh, and Obviously, we do not own the rights to this music. It's one of my favorite. It's one of our favorite songs. Um,
Man,
but
it sets the mood perfectly. I love it.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, so I wanted to tell you that every morning
Uh-huh.
I wake up and do. We were just talking about that. I wake up and do the exact same thing. Um, you know, I rush to the kitchen. I chug a couple glasses of water. I take a pill
Uh-huh.
for my thyroid, not for anything else. And then there's some other stuff we do, and then eventually, what I'm trying to do is avoid looking in my phone. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
but eventually I get to Twitter, which is my favorite immediate news uh, social. And man, today's made my day. Today's
I know exactly what you're going to talk about. Man,
today's made my day, and
that's how you know it's off season. Talk about it. Tell us.
I wish we could share the screen. Actually, we there's a way to do that, but anyway. So someone was happened to be in a 7-Eleven in a certain suburb of this area with the great Jerry Jones at the same exact time. Now, what do you think Jerry Jones was doing at that moment? So it would be well. I'm sorry, I didn't really see when that was, but it doesn't matter when it was. What do you think?
I don't think it matters, and it's kind of unfair because I did see the picture, so I know what Jerry Jones had. He was double fisting two bottles of wine at a 7-Eleven somewhere. I don't know, but you know what I really liked was that the lady that asked to take a picture was full on Chiefs gear.
That's right. That's right. She was Chiefs all the
Hmm.
way. But more than that, I mean, you have these visions. I mean, he owns and I haven't checked lately, but he owns the most valuable franchise in the world, not just in the country.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Himself worth probably close to 10 billion by now.
yeah.
You think those guys get their wine delivered?
Well,
Now there's Jerry with a
based
bottle in each.
on his yacht that he bought not too long ago, you'd figure he doesn't have to go to a 7-Eleven. But I think that's what I also love about Jerry. I don't think
Correct.
he's afraid to just ask whoever's driving him anywhere. He was probably driving to the Star to stop for two bottles of wine because he got thirsty.
Yeah.
That's yes.
Well, either that. I mean, you and I have heard that Jerry favors Johnny Walker Blue with a little Diet Coke.
Yeah,
We don't know if that's true. We've never been around him like that, but that's what everybody says. But
yeah.
maybe Mrs. Jerry called and said, "Hey, we need a little red wine for whatever." And Jerry said, "Well, shoot, I'll just start at 7-Eleven, and you know, it's just funny with those folks, just because. Well, anyway, what else was in the news post Super Bowl today?
Well, in the spirit of off season, no more football. That which makes me very sad. Um, Brady was caught having a hell of a time at that parade today. That video, if you haven't seen it, for our viewers my brother and I have already seen it, and our guest has already seen it, I think. But go check it out. He did definitely have one tequila too many. But here's the thing: I think it's okay. You've gone
Yeah,
to 10 Super Bowls, you won 7, you're 43. It's okay. It's okay to,
yeah. It really is, and make sure and watch the video of him throwing the Lombardi Trophy across the water to another boat, because he really did do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the original. I don't know if it's the one the players got, but there is a Lombardi being tossed across the boat. So
At the end of
uh,
the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to him. He's just, he's enjoying life, man.
yeah,
You
he
know,
is. He
I think
really
it's
is.
fine.
So anyway, great stuff. Great stuff. We're soon to get to baseball, so we just thought we'd bring a little football cheer, and we always got to bring some Cowboy news, because I mean that's what happened in post Super Bowl news for the Cowboys. Jerry was caught in 7-Eleven. buying some wine, at least allegedly. So anyway, let's get this going. So with that, my name is Javier, and we are Problems.
Hey, my name is Jorge and Opportunities. I want to welcome everybody this evening to our podcast. Thank you very much for joining. Like every week, we come in here and, in the spirit of finding opportunities for every problem, my brother and I get on here and try to give you not only, some fun stories, but with our guests, have him, share either something professional or personally that they've experienced in life or recently that can potentially help somebody out there to figure out a problem, right? Somebody once told us a long time ago that for every problem there's always an opportunity. We've taken that to heart, so much so that we've converted it into a podcast, and here we are. We're very excited this is our 31st show. I really can't believe it. We started in March, and it's taken off. We've had our technical difficulties now and then, but that's what it's all about. I think that being in those circumstances, that in the spirit of the problems that we're encountering, I think that's how you learn and get better. But again, thank you everybody, and our guest tonight. I mean, it's a great one. We'll have a lot of fun, and I'll allow my brother to introduce her. All right. So, as I was saying, I think my brother's having now technical difficulties, but can we bring in our guests to the show? Judy, good evening. How you
Hello.
doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks
I
for
was
having me.
just talking about our podcast and what it means to our viewers and what we try to accomplish in the show. And I was just saying that from problems derive opportunities, including in our own show, right? And I think my brother just encountered one of those. So he's having
It's because we messed up his routine.
That's that. I think that's what happened exactly. But that's okay. He'll be back with us and he'll join us. So Judy, tell us a little. Let's start right there. Tell us a little bit about your background. A little bit of what you do, et cetera, and that's where we'll get started.
Okay. Well, I am in the Houston area. That's where I live. And I started my career as a teacher. I taught elementary school for 12 years and then had a major career change, which is a story all in itself. But I decided to leave a great teaching career and become an insurance agent. So that's what I'm doing now. I've been doing that for over 8 years now. And I started off with one location and 4 employees. And now I've grown to 3 locations with about 15 employees. So definitely a lot of growth over the last 8 years.
Hey guys, I'm back.
There he is.
Hey, welcome back.
Where did I fall off?
We were just asking. We asked Judy to give us her background.
Okay, good. Can we restart? Let me really introduce her. I don't know if you talked about her background.
No, go for it.
Okay. It's I'm so sorry. One of the goals of our podcast, given the title, was to find opportunities from problems. And my brother's a realtor. I happen to be in the insurance business, and so we were really looking forward to bringing on other insurance professionals who could, tell us about their journey in this. So I'm going to read what Judy gave us as far as her background, because it's really, and there's one point that I really want to make about her background, but a lot of experiences. She is an award-winning insurance agent in the Houston area. Began her career in insurance about 12 years ago. I'm sorry, after a successful 12-year teaching career. And obviously, I think she's already said it, where she started and how she's grown. And so we really wanted to speak to her to tell us about how the business of insurance had changed her life. So without further ado, and I'm sorry I fell off, but welcome Judy, to the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Judy, I am of the opinion, and this is the way I wanted to start out. I'm the opinion that there's certain previous careers or experiences that fit really well with the insurance business. You come from education, and that's one of them.
Mhm.
Can you tell us? Well, let me tell you why I think that's true. You, as an educator, you have to bounce a lot of balls around. You're doing a lot of things at the same time. Um, Tell us. Well, first of all, tell me if you agree with that. Tell us why that may have been a good previous experience before the insurance business.
It definitely, it doesn't sound like on paper that being in education would translate to being a good business owner or being a good agent, insurance agent, but it does. Um, when you're in education, you have to break complex things down in a way that it's easy for whatever age the person is trying to understand. So for me, I taught elementary school. So we take complex things and you have to break it down for an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old
Hmm.
to understand it and be able to apply it in the future. And my agency, that's one thing that we spend a lot of time doing is educating our customers on what kind of coverage they have, because insurance is not something that comes natural to people, so to speak. It is not easy. It can get very complicated and it can get very hard to understand. And you want to go with someone who will give you good advice on that. And hopefully that's one of the things that I feel like my team and I do a good job on is just educating people. This is what you have. This is what you don't have. Have you considered this? Um, Lately, especially, and I know that we don't get snow in our area, although we are supposed to next week. But on the news, there's just so many multi-car accidents that I'm seeing. And the first thing I think of is, oh my gosh, I hope they have enough coverage for all of this and that they're not sitting at the state minimum limits. Right, Javier? I'm sure you think that too.
Mhm.
Yes.
Um, and we just want to educate people about how the policy works for them and what their part of it is and what the policy will do. And so in education, like I said, insurance is complicated, so we try to break it down in a way that it's easy for one to understand. And then
When you
also just managing, managing people and personalities. When you have a classroom of 25 kids, that's a lot of personality to manage and a lot of people that you're responsible for. And while it is different as a business owner because they're adults and not kids, and it's a different situation, there's still a lot of personality that you're trying to find out what way to approach things because of personality, differentiate things, so to speak. That's a good
right,
education buzzword.
yes, you reminded me of something really quick when you mentioned weather. Um, I don't know if you guys have more weather or we do, but over here we have hail and tornadoes, etc. You guys have, you're really close to the coast.
Mhm.
But when Harvey hit, um, you know, I know that you guys were way more. I mean, I think we were all talking and texting and posting on our social medias.
Mhm.
I mean, for days. Uh, when you speak to, you may be ending your day, you may be going home, but you're thinking of what's about to happen and the clients and the things they may have or not have. Tell us a little bit about how that was for you.
Harvey was devastating in my area. I'm on the south side of Houston, and there were many parts of Houston that were hit just as hard, if not harder. But my area was definitely it was it was really difficult as a person just to live through that, much less an insurance agent. My house did not flood, so then there were people like me who had some survivor's guilt that went along with that. Um, but in the agency, it totally shifted things for a while because while we are not a claims office and there's a claims department that handles all of that for us, we're the ones on the front lines talking to the customers. We're the ones trying to help the customers. And there we were fielding 500 inbound calls a day to try to help
Hmm.
customers. Um, I I lost count, but it was several millions of dollars that was paid out in claims due to the floods. It was hard. It was going in and of course I have a team of people who we were all doing this together. It was almost like Groundhog Day, where you listen to somebody and they're telling their story and you empathize with them, because of course this is just a horrible situation and you're doing your best to help them. But a lot of times they just wanted to get their story out. And everybody, almost everybody was saying the same things, like, I'm so blessed, even though this happened to me, it could have been worse. Even the people who had it really, really bad, they were also optimistic about how grateful they were to have what they had. And it was emotionally taxing on myself, on my team, and we just did the best that we could help them work through all of that.
And Judy, I can't even imagine what it was like to be part of all that. And I can tell you that you probably should have been every agency out there that was supporting this cause. An insurance agent should have absolutely be considered as part of the first responders in circumstances like that. We got a comment in the live feed right now from Jeremy Olson, and he's saying that that he loves that you look at your job as an education and not just something that you want to sell someone. And I 1,000% agree with that. Similar to your story, I was in the I was working for a corporation for almost 17 years, a telecommunications company, before I became, I got into real estate. And I can tell you that, it's kind of an odd transition. But there was a lot of things that I learned. So now that I'm in the real estate business, what I absolutely love is, helping somebody reach that milestone of either owning or selling, one of your biggest assets you'll ever have. Mm-hmm. But I think, that all the people that get involved in that transition, including you guys, right? When I'm, in almost every real estate transaction, it's interesting, some of the conversations I hear out there that involve that. But ultimately, I'm with you. We're here to help clients, get where they want to get to. Not necessarily. I've always said it. I'm more in the people management, just kind of assisting and reaching that milestone versus just trying to sell somebody. Right. Something. I'm sorry, but I hear you. I mean, it's great to hear you say that.
Well, when people buy a house, that's a huge investment for them. That's exciting. That's big news. And as a realtor, I know that you get excited to help them and achieve those goals. And as their insurance agent, my goal is to make sure that they can keep their house. If something happens to it, if there's a claim with it, that they're not going to have to be out all of that money to take care of it. I mean, in our area, there were floods. These homes, the flooding was so horrible during the storm, and that was the major peril that we experienced. There was some wind damage and everything, but flood was the major one. And to see people move and live on their second floors because they cannot do anything on the first floor, or completely move out of their house because it's unlivable. That's to totally build a house with money that you may or may not have in your savings account. That's a lot. That's huge. So to protect that and to help them to support them in those claims to where they've paid into insurance, the insurance company is going to take care of those things. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
it's
is.
more
it really
than
is
required to have it.
Thank you. I was about to hit that. That's been a big pet peeve of mine. And now that I'm in the business, that when we're in the process, so somebody needs financing for the house, they toss the term around as the condition of your loan. Yeah. You need hazardous insurance. I don't think it's a condition of your loan. I think, I always try to educate your client. I always try to educate my clients and them learning, what are the best options out there. Because then what happens next is they try to find the lowest option so that it doesn't really impact their monthly payment. But then, right. I try my best to open up their eyes.
Yeah. And we don't, we're kind of protectors of that because, and how do you do it right? It depends on who's talking to them and who they trust. But when people want to fit in a square peg in a round hole, so to speak, sometimes that doesn't work. What's most important, and what Judy and I will tell you is, if something happens to that home, that beautiful home you just bought, especially if it's brand new, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but if there's a serious fire, if there's a serious event, do you have enough to not only live away while it's being rebuilt, but do you have enough while it's being, I mean, enough to have it rebuilt? Uh, and we call it make you whole again. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
simple phrase. That's what we call it. We got a quick shout out from Mario Luna, huge big agent in California. But but you know, it's kind of a segue into what we do every day and what we try to do every day, and like Jeremy said, educate our customers as best we can. So then we get into March of 2020, and
Yeah.
I was actually in El Paso because my our dad's birthday is in March, and we were kind of completing the final part of mom's services. We placed her ashes in where she is now, and so I just went over there and we spent some time, and then I don't know where, but I think Best Buy, and I was watching the TV, and it was the NBA literally said they're going to cancel the season, and so here comes COVID-19. Um, and I got to fly back without a problem, back to from El Paso to DFW to Arlington, where I am. But Judy, what happened? What what did we have to do
Well,
after this worldwide pandemic?
funny story. My family and I went on a cruise for spring break, and we flew to LA and went on a cruise down to Cabo and Puerto Vallarta over there. And while we were on the ship, if you've ever been on a cruise before, it's not your normal news. It's different because it's
Hmm.
all,
Mhm.
satellite into the station or into the boat. So we were watching the news, and while we were on the boat, we found out that um, Donald Trump had said we are not allowed, Americans are not allowed to cruise.
Oh boy.
So we were one of the last people to cruise out. I know that boat. I remember the last day we were on there, and they had told all of the staff, and the staff was so upset because they didn't know what was going to happen, how long this was going to go on for. And I mean, I know that they haven't gone back out again. So I was worried, are we going to be stuck on a boat for several weeks? And I was worried, are they going to shut down the airports? Because again, our news was limited. But once I got back, and we got back with no issue, and everything was fine. Once I got back, my husband and I said, well, because at that point we had spring break, and they had canceled school for at least a week at that
Yeah,
point down here.
it was going to be 2 weeks, right?
Well, it wasn't 2 weeks yet, but they were doing it for the week. And so we looked at the CDC guidelines, and we were like, okay, well, we'll just quarantine for the next 2 weeks. I'll work from home. Everything will be fine. If because we were out of the country and because we were traveling, it just made sense to do that. So I met with my team on that Monday morning after spring break, and I told them, I said, look, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I this is all new to all of us, but I made a commitment to them right then and there. I said, whatever happens, we will make it work. If you need to work from home, you can work from home, and there will not be a problem with that. We will make it work as long as you make it work. It was definitely a relationship there. And I'm lucky that I have such a phenomenal team that I can have those conversations with. But it, throughout, and this started in March. Some people chose to work from home. Some people didn't have childcare for their children, but didn't want to work from home. So they kept a couple of their older kids home. They would bring their younger kid up to the office. And that was fine with me as long as we were able to make it work. There have been times in the agency where everybody has worked from home because of an exposure or because someone was sick. There have been times where right now, almost everyone is back in one or two of the offices, socially distanced, of course, because their safety and their health is my priority. I want to make sure that they are well taken care of. I want to make sure that if they need to work from home because their kid can't go to school that week, that they can do that. When school started up again, the districts in my area were giving people the option, you can have your child virtually learn, or they can go to school, or it can be a combination depending on what district you're in. And I told them, I said, whatever you decide, we will make it work. I don't know how, I may not have all the answers for you now, but as long as you are committed to this, I am committed to this, and we will be okay. And it's been working. When I explain that to people, it sounds like a hot mess, and they're like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense to me." But it is working. There's a lot of trust there. We've during that time, we've grown our team. We've brought more people on. Added another location, so I grew the agency quite significantly during that time. An opportunity arose that I took advantage of, and it's been an adjustment because before we had no one that would work from home. I mean, I barely work from home every once in a while, or like in the mornings or in the evening or something. But it was seldom that I would even take a day to work from home, much less anyone else in the office. So now we have seen that it can work, and there are some people that work very well from home. And then some people have said, "Yeah, I can't work from home. Can I please come into the office?"
Yeah.
So we made that work too.
Right. One of your statements, which I gallantly planned to read earlier, but you said one of the proudest accomplishments is being able to provide a good working environment where people can have a successful and thriving career to support their family. So that is very, very much a part of it because um, you could have sort of I don't know, panic or whatever, and not said anything. But you took, which I'm not surprised because I know you. You took that initial step and say, hey guys, listen, I'm not sure how this is all going to work out, but this is how we're going to work out.
hmm
And
And one
yeah,
of my priorities was not to lay anyone off. I I did not want to be forced to lay someone off. I did not want to have to cut someone's hours. I wanted them to be able to maintain exactly what they had been doing, have the opportunities to earn their commissions, have not cut any wages. And we were able to do that. And I mean, I was very worried about them in the beginning. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How is COVID going to impact the insurance industry? Um, and it has impacted it. And Javier, you and I've talked about this, and
yeah,
we didn't see some of the immediate impacts that some of the other industries have seen, but ours is more long term because as people are laid off or haven't found jobs again,
right,
I mean, how do you pay for these kind of things? So it definitely impacts us. But we're also in an industry that we we don't have to have face-to-face interaction with people. We
right.
can do a lot of things over the phone, which is, I mean, that it makes a huge difference, and it was an advantage for us to be able to say, okay, we are going to work remotely, and it will be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Judy, and I think that the companies that are struggling or the industries, right, just in general, are the ones that couldn't adjust, just like like you did, other companies did. Because I'm going to tell you, so brick and mortar is, I honestly, for all intents and purposes, I think it's a thing of a past. I think that even after we get past this pandemic, however long it takes, I think that most are going to be working virtually now, and even that even goes for school, for the school system. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do believe that more and more companies are finding out, hey, let's have more people work from home, even if that means 50% of them or whatnot. I mean, we had to do the same thing. Most of my conversations with clients are like this, over
Mhm.
virtually, over the phone, things like that, and that's okay, for both parties, for them and for us. But I do feel that it is going to become a thing of the past.
yeah. And one of the things I was going to say, even though you had your meeting, because I mean, obviously you had your meeting and we talk about things, and we're not really sure where it's going, but we still think about, okay, how's this really going to work? If you really have never had any of your team members work from home, our business is one that's let's just say very monitored by results and metrics and things like that. I mean, almost
And
daily, if not
compliance.
weekly. Yeah, and compliance. Thank you.
hmm
How are we going to do that when we have, in your case, 15? In my case, it was only three, myself included. But how are we going to? And I got that question a lot from our Texas group. But how? I mean, what happened there? I mean, what? I guess we all became Zoom experts, right? Not
so
cats.
So for me, honestly, not a lot changed when it came to oversight, because that's really what you're talking about is making sure that things are done correctly. Um, there are people in my agency that help with that. But the systems that I used and the metrics that I would use to measure that didn't change regardless of where we worked. You know, I can listen to phone calls, I can monitor activity, I can monitor the policies that are written and all of those things. But one thing that did change is that we started having morning meetings every single day. Before COVID, we would have meetings. We had a main meeting once a month, and then we would have kind of haphazard meetings here and there, but they weren't scheduled. And one of the adjustments that I made from the beginning, and I had a Zoom account that I used maybe once or twice, but now it's every single day. But we meet every single morning. And it was in the beginning, just all of us met together. And it was really just kind of a check-in. How's everybody doing? How's your sanity? This is all a big change. Do you need anything? Some of the time, a lot of times what we did was everybody had to share a success from the previous day, because when at the beginning of this, there was so much fear and uncertainty that I said, we're
Right.
just going to celebrate any little thing that we can, no matter what,
Mhm.
because I want us to be able to recognize those successes, even when there's so much angst amongst us.
Mhm.
And I would tease them, because at the time I had 2 locations. Now I have 3, but I had 2. But I also was out in the community doing networking. So even though I was working every single day, you may not see me in that office, or I might go to one office and not the other, or I might not go into an agency because I would be out at different events. So I was laughing with my team. I was like, well, y'all see me now more than you did before when we were in the office.
Mhm.
That's how it
You know,
is.
everybody
Mhm.
gets on that Zoom and everybody participates with that. And that's grown into my team is split between a sales team and a service team. So we have a service meeting now that's come out of that, to where we can talk about just service specific things. And then we get into our main meeting with everyone. And then the service team falls off and we stay on with the sales team. So a good hour of the morning is spent coaching or having meetings or going over those things. And one of the other things that really helped us is that we've always done some coaching in the agency, but because of Zoom and just the not using the, well, I wasn't at my desk as an excuse kind of thing, we've
Mhm.
been able to really ramp up the coaching and do that much more regularly. That helps all of the team be more successful.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, just to give a little bit of a comparison, uh, we've had, we had 2 girls, and one of them is in Corpus Christi, and her sister went to Texas State a couple years ago. But anyway, the point is that when they got there, we dropped them off. We do the college, you know, traditional drop off, and all of a sudden, while they're home in our presence, right?
Mhm.
The conversation, and it may not be so great, but when they're away and they're, you know, in another room far away, all of a sudden we FaceTime all the time, and the conversation
Mhm.
is a lot better. So I think this is kind of the same thing, because you know we can't go. I mean, I remember those first couple of weeks, Judy. I was, you know, I went to the I wasn't a toilet paper guy, but I was, you know, a basic, you know, stuff guy, you know, as far as food and things like that. So, but you're looking at everybody and you're wondering, oh my gosh, is this, you know, what is this going to turn into?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
in the workplace, uh, you're thinking, oh, when are we going to come back? When are we going to come back to this? And I think that's that's the reason, because it happened to me too. I mean, we did the Zoom, we did the whole thing, and actually, to be honest with you, we had a great year. We had a great growth year,
Mhm.
relatively speaking, to, you know, to our agency. I think you did too, which kind of goes into the segue of the next segment. But it was. I mean, none of us knew what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, when you're forced to make changes, you have to try those things that you normally wouldn't try. And again, there's a lot of pressure on business owners who employ people, because that's their livelihood, that's their household, that's part of their
Mhm.
bills. And that, I mean, I don't take that responsibility for granted at all.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there's two. Let's see, there's two different things there, Judy. And there's one that I'm very interested in, just kind of getting a little further into your thought process, if it was even a choice for you. So I know we still somehow had to feed our families, right? And so we knew we had to keep going, we had to keep working. But then there's also the other side of, I had all these plans in 2020, and then COVID came, and he was like, "No, you don't." Right?
Hmm.
It
Right.
it feels like it never crossed your mind to hold back. I mean, I want to say that most folks who either were thinking of starting up a business, expanding, growing, just put it on pause. But it feels like you didn't. Did it ever cross your mind to say, I'm not gonna continue with my plans?
No, it didn't. Because part of the reason is because that's just my personality. I'm just going to go for it, regardless of what obstacle is thrown in my way. That doesn't mean that I don't have setbacks or anything like that, because I do. But I have the mindset of I'm going to make this work no matter what. Failure is not an option for me. And so part of it, like I said, is my personality. And part of it is I have however many employees I had I want to say maybe it was 11. I have 11 people who are counting on me to make the right decision, so that and they're people that I have relationships with. I love working with them. I love having them on the team. They're an asset to the team. I want to keep them on my team, and I wanted to make sure that they were okay.
Yeah, and me personally, I saw a lot of your even before COVID. I, a lot of us, if they see your social media, we can tell the closeness you have with your team. When they were doing that, that dance challenge where somebody gets out of the car, you did that. I mean, a lot of this
Yeah.
really great stuff. We could see holidays. We could see, so many things that was obviously that this was a great team culture, and maybe
Mhm.
that's that's we talk about culture a lot in our agency groups, and I want to tell you, you definitely have that.
Well, that's taken a lot of work, and it hasn't always been that way. But I'm pretty happy with how our culture is. And I was talking to another agent because he became an agent last year. He bought an agency, um, was not an agent for. He didn't know the team that he had. He hired people who had previously worked in that agency, and he was saying that they were all going in every day, that they weren't able to make any accommodations for COVID. And that totally makes sense for his situation, because he doesn't know them and they don't know him. More importantly, they you have to build trust with people when you work with them. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things that the team that I had going into COVID, there was a lot of trust there. There was a lot of camaraderie there. And as we've hired people on, even though a lot of times it's via Zoom, there's still a lot of team building and camaraderie that is being built.
Yeah, and that's super critical, because I think the team will have a lot of fears, right? When this first
Mhm.
started almost a year ago, I mean, there's just a lot of unknowns, and so
Right.
I think just the way you handle it, and instilling that trust, and just talking to them and letting them know, hey, we're gonna be okay. You just need to put, because they also have to give you the their part, and to
Right.
make this successful. Um, what Judy, let me ask you, so what does the future look like for you in your agencies?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, last year was a lot of change in the agency because of COVID and everything. And then also last summer, like I mentioned earlier, we went from 2 agencies to 3 agencies. So the future is just still trying to navigate managing 3 locations with more people, hiring more people, recruiting more, and bringing on people that are right for the culture. So the immediate future is that. The long-term future is just continuing to help people and helping people with their insurance, helping my team with things. It, like I said, it's a big responsibility what we do as business owners, and it's a big responsibility what we do as insurance agents.
Yes, and I'm gonna add a little bit to that, if I may.
Please
Judy,
do.
Judy grew not just she says a third location, but really it was about double the size.
Hmm.
And I don't want to go into details, but if you can imagine having whatever business it is in one size or one scale, and then over a summer period of time, doubling that. And so that's double the customers, double the phone calls, double everything.
Mhm.
And so while I hear her say about the future, but right now I mean, it literally doubled and just ballooned in size. And of course, we talked about that possibility, and there was a lot of opportunities last year. So
Mhm.
I was really happy. My only advice to her was, give it a deadline, give it a number, give it a whatever, and they did, and they went. And so far, Judy, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going pretty well so far.
It is. There's been a lot of we're going through growing pains right now is a good way to put it. And it's all, I mean, kind of like your podcast is called Problems and Opportunities. We have an opportunity, and sometimes when you grow and you scale that fast, there are some issues that come up with that. So I call them growing pains because that's a good way to describe them. But they're just things that we're working through, and it's I mean, it's been a good move. I was not expecting to expand my business last year, whether there was COVID or not. It was not on my radar to expand. But when you do have opportunities, sometimes you have to take that chance and go for it, and that's what we did.
Yeah, and I was going to say about that for whoever may be listening and knows Judy, especially in the insurance business. Uh, you want to be prepared, and Michael, her husband, is one of the people that's told me this. You want to be prepared for this moment where the company that she and I represent, or other companies for that matter, there's an opportunity to expand, or there's an opportunity to, literally double in size. And so I think that's why I really admire Judy, because she basically always has been. And when the opportunity came, there was a lot of opportunity last year, and it was there, and she and her husband and her family basically took it on, and here they are. I mean, literally a year later, double the work, but double the reward, risk reward. We talk about that a lot.
Yep,
Well, with
absolutely.
honestly, Judy, I do sense a lot of lack of fear from your part, which is, a lot of our guests when no, I'm honestly, a lot of our guests when they've come in here and we've talked about what's kept them or see others, and they always bring up fear. They always say fear is the number one enemy when it comes to trying to grow, trying to expand, right? Not trying to be too risky is another term that's used, and I think it's great to hear you talk about how you handled and combated COVID, how you continued on with your expansion goals and plans, but more importantly, how you involve your team. Because I think we all need to make sure our teams they help us through it, and I commend you for that. Great job.
Thank you. And just
Yeah,
to be clear, there's a lot of fear. I may not show it, but there's a
You
lot
don't
of like,
show it.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, should I do this? Should I not do this? But
Judy, that's go ahead.
once I made the decision, I was like, well, there's no going back now. So there's no fear. Let's just failure's not an option. Kind of goes back to that. I'm not here to fail. I don't want to fail, and whatever way we can make this work, we're gonna make it work.
Failure
Yep.
is not an option, they
Mhm.
say.
Yes.
And to the original, the start of you being an educator before, the other previous experiences that I've seen work really well are military or folks who've been coaches. It just has, it just goes in line with having a lot of variables, a lot of processes, a lot of, just adjusting constantly to whatever's coming at you. And, uh, oh, so the opportunity, it's there. Uh, and the point is, I forgot really my religious point, but the point is that you when it's there, you want to be prepared for it. You know what I mean? You want to
Yes.
really, I mean, you really want to be prepared for it, and that's what I really took away from last year, from a lot of the stuff that happened. Judy, one of the things that was important to me, because I've been an agent a little less than you, and so we get training from the company, we get a lot of really good stuff, but one day, you have your start day. You're in your office like uh, everybody is, and it's a really lonely world. And
Mhm.
Yes.
what happens then for me is that you have a couple of choices. You can just sit in your office and wonder what's about to happen, or you start calling other agents and meet them and try to get mentorship from them.
Hmm.
Because insurance and a lot of other, real estate for that matter, it's one of those businesses where the requirements to get in it are fairly, small compared to other careers. But you learn most of it as you go. And if you don't have the right mentors, the right, people leading you, um, it can be disastrous. So I wanted to tell you that you are one of my original mentors. I mean, we met early on when I started, and I had a couple in the very beginning. But after the fifth or sixth call every day, I was like, I can't keep calling these people. And Eric hasn't chimed in tonight, but Eric was one of the originals as well, and we all know Eric Kent in El Paso. His gift is a gift of comedy. I mean,
Yes.
not take away from his brilliant uh, career in insurance for that matter. His entire family, his dad, his brother, they bring a lot of experience in insurance. But the gift of being able to call him and just bring a little levity to what's going on because those first 6 months, 12 months, whatever,
Mhm.
I was sure I was gonna not make it at all. So talk about what mentorship is for you and how you've been able to pay it forward.
Well, when I first became an agent, I there was not this community that, or if there was, I didn't know about it. We're and Jorge, you know this too, because in real estate and insurance, it's a very competitive industry. They are both very competitive,
Yep,
and
somewhat. Hmm.
yep, just a little. um, and there are some uh, colleagues who are insurance agents or realtors who are very happy to help and share ideas. And there are some that are not. So in the beginning, I didn't know about any of the community that is out there now where
Mm-hmm.
you can talk about things like that. So it was very isolating in the beginning. And I had a few friends in the area that would help me out with things. But the longer I've been an agent, the more I've been able to meet other agents at different meetings, at different conferences, and things like that. So there really is. I mean, Javier, you said that I've helped mentor you, but the feeling is mutual, my friend, because I call you and ask you questions too. And hey, how would you
Yeah.
handle this, or what do you know
Right.
about this? Um, and I mean, today I had a phone call with an agent not far from me, and we were on the phone for 45 minutes trying to figure out a problem. We had a problem, and we were trying to figure out what the issue was. And it's refreshing to have that camaraderie and to really work together as a team as opposed to, well, you're my competition. Because at the end of the day, yes, we're in competition with each other, but the more we can help each other, the better we all can be. So
Yeah.
I love helping other people. I love sharing ideas. Sometimes when I'm sharing ideas, it gives me a good idea. Sometimes I share really bad ideas, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
about myself too. But it's just refreshing to have some good conversation because it is lonely. When
Mm-hmm.
you're a business owner, it is lonely, and it's the conversations are different depending on who you're talking to. So to have someone who is in the same position as you, who is experiencing the same struggles, experiencing the same problems and the same opportunities, it's almost like you speak your own secret language and you can have those good conversations. So I am very grateful for all of the agents who have helped me along the way, and I love helping other agents as well too.
Yeah.
Judy, and you hit the nail in the head when you mentioned it's important. I felt exactly the same way. I came from a funny story. I came from an environment where I would have a meeting every 15 minutes.
Wow.
To when I went into real estate, I would have no meetings,
Huddles.
nothing, right? And I would always wonder, and I said, this can't be the way things are. Like agents just can't be out there wondering, like, what
Mhm.
everybody else is doing. So I'm happy to say that within my brokerage, we now have about right now we're having about 2 or 3 meetings a week. So I think it is so critical because we don't have all the answers, and so I think
Mm-mm.
it's critical to share those. Everybody, most of us will have the same question, right? We'll have the same issue that's happened to us, and one of us will have an idea as to how to fix it. So I'm with
Right.
you.
Yeah, and a little snippet to that. Judy won an award. I'm sure in real estate it's the same thing. We have several coaching, consulting businesses. Actually, Jeremy leads one of those who commented earlier, and she actually was awarded one, awarded as. And Judy, I try to look up the picture and the actual title of the award. You can tell us, you know what I'm talking about with
I
CWC, but
do. So there is a coaching company out there that my team and I use, and I won one of the mentorship awards. It was a mentoring award, and it was really nice to be recognized because it was totally unexpected.
Mhm.
It was at a live event, so it was fun to receive that recognition in front of several hundred people in Vegas. I mean, it's always fun to go to Vegas. I miss Vegas, by the way. That's one of my
Yeah,
COVID things. I miss Vegas. I'm not gonna
we
lie.
all do.
I think my husband is going through some Vegas withdrawals.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was recognized and it was noticed some of the mentorship that I've been doing with people. And it's not, I do not have a formal mentorship, but just people call me and ask me questions, and I call them and ask them questions, and we have conversation or we text back and forth. And
right,
it's like I said, it's really nice to feel a part of a team. I came from teaching, and on teaching, you are on a team. Your
right.
school itself is within a team, but you have your grade level teams, and so there are people there that are in your shoes that are going through all of that. So to be on a team and then all of a sudden to lead a team, it's there's a shift there and there's some loneliness there. So I'm happy with all of my agent friends. I mean, they're good people out there, and it's nice. It took me
Yeah,
a few years to feel that camaraderie, but I feel it now, and it makes a big difference. And it's made me a better agency owner. It's made me be a better coach to my team. It's made me be a better insurance agent, and it's helped I mean, it's helped my team too because I'm involved and have some camaraderie. They too have camaraderie with other insurance agents and people on their teams.
yeah. And one little thing I wanted to say is for those listening who are customers of insurance agents like us, sometimes when we say, let me, when we don't have the answer, let me, let me call, let me talk, let me figure it out. This is what we're doing. We're talking amongst each other. We're trying to figure out certainly what the best approach answer is.
Mhm.
Sometimes calling, whatever company we represent is a little difficult. There's a lot of people calling every day. This is what we're doing. We're calling each other. Have you had this? Has this happened to you? What would you do? What's the best thing? What's the best approach? And it's, oh my gosh, the mentorship, Judy, and you'll agree, and a lot of insurance agents. It's huge, and I
Mhm.
know it's in real estate as well. It's huge because
Mhm.
in the very beginning, like I said, I had one or two agents, and they're still very successful agents. I'm eternally thankful to them. But after the fourth or fifth call in a day, you like, I can't call them anymore. They have a business to run. So we're
Right.
very thankful. We're very thankful to be able to communicate with each other.
I agree.
And you know what? I mean that should be like I'll repeat myself. That should be in every industry because I think not sharing amongst each other to try to help find the answers. At the end of the day, the ones that the one that gets impacted the most is the most important piece to this, which is our clients, right? The
Right.
customers.
Right.
So I think it is so critical. Judy, we have a comment from one of our viewers. His name's Carlos Flores, and he's saying that your enthusiasm for what you do is very contagious. And
Oh, thank
so
you.
I do agree. I agree with Carlos. I think you bring a lot of enthusiasm to what you do. Sometimes there are industries out there that people feel like may not be cheery. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but insurance is probably one of them. But I think that there's no reason. There's a local agency here in El Paso that we already had her in one of the podcasts, and she exactly like you. She creates all kinds of videos and TikToks, and makes fun of her. Her dad and her they both own the agency, and they're always
Mhm.
doing crazy stuff. And it doesn't. The only reason why anything is ever boring or not fun is because you make it that way.
That's right.
Judy, we always like to end our programs with having our guests, provide one or two things to crystallize just, in the spirit of problems and opportunities. What would you like to tell our viewers today as far as, from you to how to take those problems and turn them into opportunities?
I think that some of the things I would say is that there is a solution to every problem. It may not be the solution that we want, but there is a solution to every problem. And the other thing that I'll add is that sometimes, and I've experienced this myself, when you're drop bomb or there's something big happening and it is a big problem and you're not sure how to handle it, sometimes you just need to let your emotions process, because when you're so mad about it or frustrated about it or hurt about it, or insert your adjective there, it it's hard to start looking toward, okay, how can I get past this? And I've had problems before where it's like I'm just so in it that I'm so mad or upset that I can't even think about how to solve the problem, because I don't care how to solve the problem at that point. I'm just mad about it and I need to get all of it out. So I think that it's important for us to recognize that, because we need to get over those things. And when people say, oh, just get over it, it's not always that easy to do. But we have to get over that in our own time. But once we do, we have to be ready for, okay, now I can focus on how to turn this into a positive. Now I can focus on how to make this work. And being able to recognize that, yes, I'm upset now, but this will turn around, and this is my plan for when that happens.
Yes, I'm glad you said on our own time, because we all have different times for that recovery. Or, I mean, yeah, it's just every one of us reacts differently to it. We have to uh, understand what that is for us and how that is for us.
And that doesn't mean to sulk in it, and that doesn't mean to stew your own emotions and just, take it out on everybody else and share. I mean, if you're having a hard time moving past something, that doesn't mean that you need to bring everyone down with you.
Right.
But it does mean that it's okay. I mean, we've had industry changes. Javi and I both have industry changes where it's like, okay, I'm not sure how to handle this. And this bomb is dropped on us, and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what are we going to do now? And sometimes it does take a while to process that. But then it's like, okay, these are the new rules, and this is how we're going to color in the lines, and we're just going to go and be successful.
Exactly. Even as early as last night, we were talking about some things that were going on, and is this report out? Have you seen it? And I mean, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and then finally the report is out, and then everybody, it explodes, and everybody's making comments. So
Yep.
definitely constant change, constant adaptation. Um, it's just what it is in the I don't want to say the life we chose, but just I mean, it is. And by the way, that's we just saw a 43-year-old quarterback win the Super Bowl with what they call a random team. You see the memes. It's like, hey, anybody want to win a Super Bowl? And the Buccaneers still come in and they win a Super Bowl. And so it sounds random, but there's no randomness to it.
Right.
It's just the attitude, the process, and what you bring to the game. So.
And your mindset is so important, because even if you are struggling with something, if you're looking for problems, you're going to find problems. If you're looking for
Yes.
opportunities, you're going to find opportunities. It truly is just where your mind is focused on. And Tom Brady is a good example of that. I mean, he went down there and he had a point to make, and he made his point, and and they won the Super Bowl from it. And I'm sure in his mind he was thinking the same thing. Failure is not an option. I'm going to make this work. Here are some processes we're going to do to make some adjustments to make the team more successful, and constantly pivoting and adapting with the new team that he had. And I mean, he's a 7-time champ now.
Yep, he is, and I don't know that will ever be repeated. And so I can't say I'm a fan of his, but certainly the ladies in my life are, and but I cannot deny the greatness and the legacy he has left.
Well, I
me.
think ladies in general, and then there's a few few of us who have a man crush. So
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
that.
you just can't deny it. But anyway,
Mhm.
Judy, we have
You're
gone
talented.
over an hour, which I'm not surprised because we could go another hour.
Oh
But
no.
we want to thank you. I wanted to quickly say on behalf of the ladies in my life, your earrings are just uh,
Thank you.
on the spot because we have a
Mhm.
lot of big jewelry in my house. So I wanted to tell you
So
that.
thank you.
Go ahead.
There's a girl in my town who she has a jewelry business and she sells these, and it was one of those scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. I don't remember which ones. And so my husband bought these for Christmas because I picked them out and bought them, and I did it for me.
Well, good. If you want to send us her contact information, we're happy to tag her on this. So maybe
Okay.
people reach out to her. But yeah,
Yeah.
I see. We have a lot of big jewelry in my house.
These are probably
But
the biggest earrings I have. But I was like,
Yeah.
I don't get to dress up very often. I'm gonna fly.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Good for you. I also, Judy, I want to thank all our viewers today that tuned in. We apologize for my brother at the beginning. I think he might have gone out with Tom Brady to drink.
Yeah, he came into the building and I had to go meet him at the door.
I think that's what happened. But thank you everybody for watching today.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize, I fell off the boat, but I was back. So, thank you, Judy. This was
Thank you
always
both.
fun. Yep.
Yes.
And so, for my brother, this is Problems.
And for my brother, and opportunities. Thank you, everybody.